Grab's plan to shutter Uber's app quickly following its merger deal in Southeast Asia has hit another snag in Singapore, where the ride-hailing firm has been forced to delay closing its rival's service until May 7th. This is the second time that Grab has pushed back the removal of Uber's app in Singapore, which was initially scheduled for closure on April 8 but was given an additional week as part of an investigation from the Competition and Consumer Commission of Singapore, CCCS, which is assessing the merger deal. This new May 7th date is also down to the CCCS probe, with the Commission issuing an interim measures directions, IMD, to Grab in order to ensure that the market remains open and contestable. Those directives, which Grab said it has had a hand in formulating, include measures that prevent Grab from taking Uber's operational data on customers in their trip history, prevent lock-in and exclusivity options for drivers that join Grab or move over from Uber's Lion City rental entity, and end any exclusive deals Grab has with Singapore taxi firms. The CCCS has also ruled that Grab and the Uber service must maintain prices for passengers and drivers, and remind both that their migration to the Grab platform is optional. The ruling impacts the Singapore market only, which is where Grab is registered. The Uber app has already been closed in 6 other markets where it operated in Southeast Asia, while the Uber Eats service will fold into Grab Eats by the end of May elsewhere. Uber's ride-hailing service is scheduled to be closed on April 16 in the Philippines, where, like Singapore, the regulator had handed down a week-long extension while it looked into the merger deal. In both extensions, Grab is the one footing the bill for the continued operation of Uber, since the U.S. firm has already exited these markets. In terms of funding and staffing, Uber's head of operations for Asia-Pacific has said. The CCCS previously said that it has reasonable grounds to suspect that the Grab-Uber deal may fall foul of Section 54 of Singapore's Competition Act. The Philippine Competition Commission is still looking into and there's no word on whether it will follow the CCCS lead and force Grab to keep the Uber app open for a longer period. The Singapore ruling is a blow for Grab, which set out an aggressive 2-week time frame for closing Uber in Southeast Asia, despite not contacting regulators in advance of the deal, which sees it pick up a dominant slice of app-based taxi books across 8 countries in Southeast Asia. The key question for regulators, however, appears to be whether app-based hailing is a market unto itself, or whether it is part of the wider taxi market. If regulators chose the former option, then Uber Grab almost certainly creates a monopoly, but since consumers can also hail apps in more traditional ways, for example on the street, or via taxi companies' dedicated apps, as is the case in Singapore, then the deal hasn't created a dominant player. It's certainly a tricky one to assess. Meanwhile, here is Grab's statement on the Uber app extension and the IMD. We appreciate that CCCS accepted our alternative interim measures. On CCCS request, we have agreed to extend the Uber app to May 7th to allow for a smoother transition time for riders and drivers. We trust that the CCCS review takes into account a dynamic industry that is constantly evolving, highly competitive, and being disrupted by technology and new services. The interim measures should not have the unintended effect of hampering competition and restricting businesses that have already been investing in the country over the years. Grab notes the CCCS objective of giving drivers choice, and is fully supportive of extending our platform to all taxi drivers, including ComfortDelGro drivers who are still constrained from picking up just Grab jobs. Grab entered Singapore 5 years ago with minimal resources and the goal of enabling all taxi drivers to earn a better living using our platform. We recognize CCCS commitment to preserving competition. All companies, no matter big or small, digital or traditional, are capable of innovation and a free market. We're proud to headquarter in Singapore, where the country's free market economy and policies enable businesses to compete and innovate vigorously to solve customer needs. We trust the government will continue to be pro-business in providing a path for startups to flourish and become sustainable businesses. We will work within the set constraints and continue to focus on building better products to compete, ensuring fairness for passengers and drivers, and cultivating the local tech talent pool through a regional R&D center in Singapore.